Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Sunday, good evening, and welcome to the Scrimmage.
That was a long sound.
Oh,
I liked it.
Bit of a throwback there too.
It was energetic, and I think it's just what we needed to kick off this show.
Yes, because do we have a show for you?
Things are happening.
Justin finally got his podcast beef.
It's beefy.
It is beefy. Yes, thank you. By the way, I'm Justin Domashevitz, Daniel Hargrove, over here in this ugly llama sweater.
It is a llama, or an alpaca. I guess it could be either, right?
And then our producer Andrew is here as well.
That's true.
In a normal shirt.
Is it though? Yeah, I guess it is.
It's just a plaid flannel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm wearing a NASA shirt. Not that anyone cares. Nice. I thought I did that for Andrew. Like specifically, I was in my drawer and I was like, you know what, NASA shirt? Andrew would appreciate that.
That's the best NASA logo. That's the NASA meatball logo.
Oh.
The other NASA logo is the one with like the straight smooth letters.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
the National Association of Secrets and stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Nailed it.
Secrets and NASA's. NASA's.
There we go. Justin, there's a giant dog tail just sticking out at me right now. It's barely on screen too.
So this is going to be a fun show today. We have to explain a little bit of stuff. And then
it's going to be fun for me.
I thought we were going to avoid this altogether.
We're going to have a special guest interview, which is the Anacortes head football coach, two-time defending state champion Anacortes head football coach.
No, that didn't happen.
Portz. He's going to join us, and we're going to talk about how, Daniel doubted his team. I mean,
me?
Yeah. It's sometimes, Daniel, you go out on a limb, and sometimes the limb snaps, and you come crashing down to the ground.
Not that hasn't been known to happen, but I think you're mischaracterizing this just a little bit here.
Oh, am I? Doesn't sound like me.
I think... Is there a little bit of a we that needs to be involved in that?
Oh, yeah. Actually, if we want to be completely honest about it.
You know what really sucks?
Yeah.
Is somebody kept receipts. We don't usually have that problem.
Which person?
Freaking Nick, man.
We have to be careful what we say about Nick because of legal issues.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Legal implications.
We can say some stuff. We can't say some stuff. But there's an ongoing legal potential litigation that's going to prevent us from saying everything we want to say about Nick from N2 Media. We do have a video we want to show you.
Oh, by the way, our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, just throwing that in there.
I talked to the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, and they refused our case, so I had to move on to a lawyer that I saw advertised on the side of a bus.
Oh, are you sure it wasn't like on a billboard in Lakewood, like next to the Dollar Chinese food or something like that?
No, it said Better Call Saul. It was one of those things. But,
gotcha. Okay.
Anyway, so there is that. I think just to set the table for this, we're going to show you a video in a minute here that Nick from N2 Media made. And just to set the table for it, I want to say a couple weeks ago, we took last week off for load management, and I think that it was good for us overall.
Absolutely.
But 2 weeks ago, we leaned pretty hard into the fact that Tumwater, was a slight favorite to beat Anacortes in the state title game for 2A. Yes. We also, by the way, leaned pretty hard into Royal as a favorite to beat Seton Catholic.
Yep.
And we were so right about that.
Definitely never worried about that one either.
Not when it was tied at halftime.
Yep, definitely.
But the Anacortes Tumwater game, we got wrong. We said, like I said again, specifically me, but also you.
Definitely me. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying I'm not the only one.
Yeah, and I guess when it comes down to it, I did. N2 Media has a podcast called Pick Six.
Oh man,
I wanted to read when they were doing their 2A state title preview. I hit the comments pretty hard.
Oh no,
I wanted to read a few of them.
It's also a bummer. Like I checked out his recent broadcast of the Kelso Mark Morris game.
Yeah,
And I was disappointed because he's also really good at that.
Yeah, he is. He's very
I was
good.
a little bummed out. I was like, maybe he sucks at this.
He's got like a Tony Romo
but
vibe.
he does a good job.
Like he's got
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna kick up my feet in the broadcast
But
booth
in a good way?
in a casual way that also draws you in.
Yeah, it's great.
But enough. We have, like I said, pending litigation.
Oh, yeah,
with
sorry,
NT Media,
sorry.
so we can't say too much. I wanted to read some of the comments that I put on the Pick Six podcast.
But these might get entered in as evidence.
That's possible. Why does my phone say it's 6:30?
I don't know.
That's weird. Okay.
Are you looking at a screenshot?
Oh yeah, I am looking at a screenshot. Oh boy, that was a bad job by me. Anyway, so as you can tell, I screenshotted this at 6:30. My first comment in regards to the Tumwater versus Anacortes 2A state title game was Tumwater wins 49-7.
Oh,
Then
that
I said
didn't age well.
Anacortes has no chance. Then I said all caps, book it, exclamation point. Then I said this year's Tumwater team is particularly good. Then I said Anacortes has a 0.001% chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And then Matt Evans said chomping at the bit, and I corrected him and said it's champing at the bit. Horses don't chomp, they champ.
Yep.
Which we dedicated at least 10 minutes of a show to once. I
Yes.
think.
We did, yeah. And then I said, yes, traditionally, historically, David beat Goliath, but Anacortes doesn't have 5 stones in a sling. And then I said, if Anacortes
But they did have
wins,
2 beaners.
That's true. Then I said, if Anacortes wins, I'll eat my hat, which is like an ultimate old guy thing to
Yes,
say, which I don't
dude.
know why I said it.
That comes from like the 1800s, I feel like.
And then I said,
When
again,
there was leather.
all caps, book it, exclamation point. Then I said, Nick knows ball. He'll just miss the Tumwater pick.
Oh.
Also didn't age well. So before we're going to bring on the Anacortes coach in a few minutes here, Justin Portz. But before we do that, we want to play this video created by N2 Media that, keep in mind, he did use some deceptive editing tactics.
Maybe some AI involved.
So let's get to the next one here that everyone says is going to be not close. Tumwater against Anacortes.
Dude, we got Nick hot.
Pick Six Podcast, this is your official challenge when you go live this week in your preview of state title games.
And you know what?
We are officially saying Seton Catholic has no shot against Royal.
None.
Anacortes has no shot against Tumwater.
0.
Those games are locks. If the spread on both of those was 28.5, I'd take the favorites.
I got Anacortes 34-31.
Nick picked Anacortes in the title.
What?
Nick believes Anacortes is king, whether they have Rex Larson or not.
This is an Anacortes team that brings back almost everything except their quarterback. You know, these guys know how to win.
Harrington turns pump fake. He's going to throw this one. He's got a laying wide open. He's going to be able to walk in for a 33-yard touchdown, and Anacortes strikes first.
I've been telling you for over a month, Nick. I think Tumwater's head and shoulders just above everyone right now.
The short shuffles across. They will throw it, though. What do I know? Bud rolls out to the left. He's going to be pressured, and he's going to go down.
I don't think you guys understand what Tumwater is.
Turns, gives this one to Brock Beater up the middle. He's got a lot of space out to the left. There goes Brock Beater inside the 20. He's going to take it to the house. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Nick, what are you talking about?
Harrington in the gun. He's going to drop back to throw it. Looking to take a shot at Lang, who again is wide open. Makes the catch in stride. Wynn trying to run him down. He'll drag him down inside the 10 once again. Lang finds himself wide open. Dropping back is Harrington, looking right. He's going to take a shot as he throws, but he's got Lang open. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Nick says, so Anacortes has no shot?
Anacortes Seahawks are going to walk away with a second consecutive state championship in the 2A classification.
Book it, right? Book it, all caps.
But the disrespect across the state was Tumwater was going to run all over us. And so we took that personal, kind of kept that in-house, but these guys were pissed off, and we came out here and we wanted to prove a point.
So much of that didn't age well.
No. Did any of it age well?
Well, I have two gripes. I have two gripes with the video, and if Nick is watching, I have two gripes with the video.
Gripes or grapes?
One
Is this a champing chomping thing?
gripes.
Okay.
One is the music was too loud. Bro, turn the music down. You could hear my voice a little better. That's one of them. Number two, I'm pretty sure that, Daniel, when you said, I don't think you understand what Tumwater is.
Yeah.
That was in the portion of the show when we were saying that Royal would have no chance against Tumwater.
That's true.
So
that's
technically, that's a deceptive editing tactic.
There was, that was the one where I was like, oh, yeah, that was in the Royal discussion. But I think you're right. Andrew, do we have our guest ready? Okay.
Hang on here.
Oh, boy.
And the rest of my gripes I'll save for litigation.
Here comes...
when we get to trial.
Here comes our comeuppance. Oh, man. Good afternoon, Coach Portz.
Says he's connected to audio now.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Coach Portz. How you doing?
Good, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
we can hear you. We can. Oh, and now we can see you too. I wanted to ask you.
I like the background. Yes.
Coach, as a fellow Justin, we all know that Justins are like generally the smartest and funniest people. We've realized that, and we have a group chat on Discord. Are you in the Justin group chat?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to send you an invite to that. But I think that's about all we had for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right, cool, man. I'm out.
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Yes, absolutely.
I think, well, I guess I should get this out of the way.
Oh, yeah. Justin famously said he was going to eat his hat.
Yeah.
So in typical Justin fashion, he's living up to his word, but also he had a hat made out of bread. So...
well, I mean, if it goes on your head, I guess it's a hat.
There we go.
My wife is a very talented baker. She made this hat for me. So while this interview is going on, I'm just going to be like kind of eating my hat as we go.
Oh, man. So, you're so ridiculous right now.
What do you mean?
Coach, again, congratulations.
I'm glad I could be here for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Justin's got some other things that he wants to ask you about specifically and say, but one of the things that's most impressive to me is somebody, and I want to know if this is true, somebody said that Anacortes didn't have a varsity program in football, 5 years ago? Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. It went, the short version of it is I was hired as an assistant coach, initially as the DC, and it was a tough year. We went 0-9, and it was like there's like 0-9, and then there's bad 0-9, and it was bad 0-9. And we at the end of the season, we kind of looked at like if we really want to try to build this, what do we do? If we just come back next year, kind of looking at who was returning, there was like 2 seniors and a bunch of underclassmen, a pretty good freshman group that had done a lot of winning in their youth level. And so it wasn't a unanimous decision, but we decided to let's build around that young group, and we'll just play like a JV schedule. And probably we didn't know how competitive we'd be, but we knew we'd like be somewhat competitive. And we ended up going like 7-2, and it just football looked fun again to students. They started kind of coming out, and we played some of our games on like Friday nights we tried to like make it big, and the next year, we finished that year, we had real low numbers. The first 0-9 year, we finished with like 16 kids after injuries and all that. And,
wow.
But then the numbers progressed. So then like a 7-2 JV year. And then, COVID was weird. We did play like a weird varsity schedule, went 3-3 playing varsity teams. And then 9-1 as an independent, playing a bunch of 3A, like Kinko and Metro schools and stuff. And then back in the league, 9-2, back in the league, went to the quarterfinals, lost to North Kitsap. And then the next year, state championship was last year, and then back again this year. So,
that's so fast.
Yeah, pretty incredible story. And
yeah. That is such an interesting way to try and, again, make football look fun again, because a lot of times when you hear about programs having a hard time with numbers, it feels like the general feeling around football might contribute to that, that you really have to love football to want to play it. because it is such a tough, demanding physical sport. So it seems like a tough thing to overcome if it's the interest is already dwindled. But so anyway, that's amazing to be able to bring it back like that.
So, Coach, I know you've seen the slanderous N2 Media video where he used editing tactics to incorrectly depict our comment. I think we can officially reveal at this point.
Yes, here we go.
We are we're Grays Harbor guys. We're just a rinky-dink little podcast in Grays Harbor in Pacific County, and we cover Aberdeen. So we're not Tumwater fans.
No, hate
by any
Tumwater.
means. In fact, we can officially reveal now, I think, that the whole reason we used so much hyperbole is because we wanted to overinflate Tumwater and motivate your team.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah.
Thank you. But I think for me, when I look on this, I'll admit I thought I was right. Like, I said a lot of stuff about how Tumwater was and we weren't alone in this, that we said Tumwater was head and shoulders above everybody else. It didn't come from nowhere. I think in some way it probably comes from, like, you know, the fact that we aren't actually watching the games. We're like kind of playing more on the results. You know, you guys had common opponents. I think we had a rare situation where the title teams had 4 common opponents.
Yeah.
And if you kind of play, like, look at, here's what happened in these 4 games, you would come up with the conclusion that, you know, Tumwater was the better team. So I want to know from you, was there, you know, number one, is there something you guys exploited? Was, like, there a matchup or, like, something about Tumwater that you knew, like, we're going to have a shot here? Or was it, like, was there a turning point for your team that changed the way you guys were playing ball?
Yeah, a couple good questions in there. You know, first, I think, and I don't know how Tumwater operates. They had a ton of, you know, huge wins, a lot of points scored, and very impressive. So I totally get why people picked them, you know, and as a coach, you're just, if you find some locker room motivation anywhere, you're going to use it. I mean, I've been known to make stuff up before, you know, if I had to. So I'm not opposed to just finding something and running with it. So, but they were, you know, they were well-deserved. That they had an incredible season going. And I know from us, despite what some of our players and coaches maybe feel, I didn't care about out or running the score up. All I cared about was getting the win, and then couple things: get our starters off the field early if we can, keep them fresh and injury free, and then 2, those secondary guys needed, you know, they deserve reps. So when you're up big, we would do that. And so we had some games, like maybe some common opponents, where we could have kept the pedal to the metal and thrashed them and put up some crazy score. And I'm not saying that's what they play their secondary guys too, and they're just super good. When their 2s go in, their 2s are probably as good as starters in a lot of programs. But again, I just wasn't as worried about that. So I had to make a deal with my defensive coordinator where I would say, hey man, the shutout's like, you can book the shutout, but we're going to run some second level guys. And if they score on us, I don't really personally care. I'm not chasing stats. I'm chasing wins and trying to get us to the postseason.
Oh man, Coach, everything you just said is what I've been like railing on for years and years, and I love that so much.
It's also hard because like we're in a season of seating committees where
exactly,
like, you know, sometimes those kind of things end up being taken into consideration.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen so many teams striving that not only, I mean, if you look at the sportsmanship side of things or whatever, but also just the player health, like you mentioned, getting your ones off the field, getting them some rest. I've seen so many games where a team's blowing somebody out, they're up 35-0, and there's like 5 minutes left in the game, and their starters are still in because they haven't reached that like running clock number that everybody seems to be chasing. And then all of a sudden a starter gets hurt. And when you're watching small schools like we have around here, it can change the entire season.
Yeah, you know, our there's a few games this year, and one in particular, we had an opponent towards the end of the year, and the final score ended up being 77-0. And just an example of what we do. Brock Beaner he's a Division I athlete, and you know, arguably I think the best running back in the state. He's going to go play safety, but he had 4 touches in that game. And so, you know, if I was worried about padding Brock Beaner's stats or trying to break a record, I guarantee you that kid could have had 7 or 8 touchdowns and like 500 yards, something ridiculous. He touched the ball 4 times, and I think he scored 3 times, and it was time for him to come to the sideline and cheer on some twos. And he probably didn't like that very much. I know he didn't like that. He wants to play. But, his goal is the same. And I just would remind him, hey, man, December 7th. Like, everything is about December 7th. So don't lose sight of that. And when we get there, we're going to lean on you heavily. And we did. He was a big factor in that game. But that's just how we do things. And it's not always, like you said, seating committee. I mean, if you're running the score up a bunch and blowing people out, they have to consider that. So I know that goes into play, but it's just not the most important thing. The seeding just works out. I mean, if you're the best team, you're going to win whatever seed you are. So I don't worry too much about that.
So I know I knew going into this the Beaner brothers, and I knew Lang. I'm on social media. I see highlights. I see like the really talented players you have. I personally watched Rex Larson play quarterback at the Earl Barden All-State game. My son was playing there. He was on the same team as him, and I felt like I'm watching a guy who's the best player on the field. And so in part of the calculation I was doing, I thought, okay, well, obviously Anacortes is going to take a step back because this guy's playing in an all-state game with players from across 4 classifications together on one field, and he looks like the best player on the field. So I'm kind of hoping, like, Brock and Brady Beaner, obviously great. Lang, obviously great, made huge plays. We saw him in the highlights. I'm kind of hoping you can tell us a little bit about your quarterback, Harrington, and how he was able to fill the shoes of someone ahead of him who was so great.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could talk a lot about Rex. You nailed it, man. That kid is special. Because of the timeline of everything, Rex's 8th grade year, it was right around that COVID time, and they didn't have an 8th grade team here. So he just would come out to the field and hang out with the football team, the high school team. Well, it wasn't very long before he was like running our scout team for us as an 8th grader. And so it's almost like he got a redshirt year in there with the high school team. And he started for us about halfway through that 3-3 season. About halfway through, we started him as a freshman, and he won 3 games. And he just started here ever since. And he's just he's a winner. I can tell you that, a little bit of the difference between him and Harrington is obviously Harrington's, he's young, so we'll see what junior, senior version of him turns into, and it's going to be fun to watch. But Rex is, he's a little more of, I don't know, like a wild card. I mean, he's just a playmaker. He evades pressure and he makes things happen, sometimes off script. And in that championship game, there was a lot of times where he had a guy in his face and he just, scrambled a little bit and found a guy, got rid of the ball. And so Harrington now exceeded our expectations because we already knew he was a great athlete. He has an absolute cannon of an arm and big framed kid, and he's probably still growing. But he is a little different. Like when you go through progression and coverage and all that, he is very analytical and he's figuring all that out. So he can come to the sideline and say, exactly what he saw and why he threw to a certain spot. And Rex could do that too, but sometimes Rex would just say, I don't know, I just saw pressure and I saw a guy open, I just made it happen. And Harrington's a little more like he can tell you exactly. I saw the corner clouded and the backside safety was late getting over the top, so I threw the skinny post or whatever. And you go look at film and he's exactly right. And so he's going to be a lot of fun for us for the next 2 years. And like I think I said, somewhere else in the interview, it doesn't really matter. We're graduating some really good players, and that's high school football, and got a group coming in. But with Harrington here, we're still going to be super competitive. He's going to be a tough out for us, or he's going to make us a tough out for anybody.
So, coaches, there's one thing that I've been wondering because I have a son who played high school football. He plays for the University of Puget Sound now, and when I told him, hey, my comments motivated Anacortes to a state title, he said, Dad, that's ridiculous. They're not anywhere near us. They don't have any clue who you are. So I'm hoping, did you or your players see what Daniel and I said before the game?
They had no clue. They had no clue. Matter of fact, I had people asking me, where did this come from? And I wasn't even really sure where it came from. I had told different versions of that story a few times. I was like, I don't even know. I'm probably making up half of it, but I'm gonna just keep going, and we just kept selling it to the kids. And they, who knows, man? They're self-motivated. They probably didn't need any of that, but maybe it fired them up a little bit extra, and and then since we won, I can say that it did, but who knows?
Well, in the future, when I tell this story, I'm going to take credit for your state title.
Of course, you should. Yeah, of course.
I got one more thing, Coach. I'm not sure if you can see my hat, but my dad and I are very big Oregon State Beaver fans, and we figure the Ducks have similar colors. So we were wondering, my dad wanted to know if you could go take out the Ducks in the national championship game as well, since you guys took down Tumwater.
Yeah, I think we're going to stick with the big 2A is about as far as we're going to stretch that. I mean, Tumwater is about as big of a program as you can get in the 2A world, and I reached out to their coach and just really wanted to thank him. After a tough game like that, there's a lot of emotions, and on the field, kids are drawn back and forth, and we were all emotional. But when it's all said and done, what an incredible run. I mean, I feel like. Well, they are in the state championship or close to it every single year, and just a great program. And it means a lot more when you win, when you beat a program like that. It could be anybody any year that has a big year, but I'm sure if the tables were turned and they beat us, it's just another team of obscurity at some point. But for our guys, it's Linden or Tumwater, and those are two teams that if you beat them, it means something. Yeah. So to get to the state championship is awesome. To win it is awesome, but to win it against a program like Tumwater and knowing what they're all about and how they do things down there, it really kind of adds to it for us. So it was meaningful to beat them.
Man.
Perfect.
Linden and Tumwater, two teams I hate, both green and yellow. Same. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
I think we're becoming Anacortes fans.
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, we're a tiny little, you don't know a lot about us, but we are almost 1A. I mean, we're one of the smallest 2As in the state. And, our sideline, I think we had 44 something kids dressed, but there's probably 15 of them that we just pulled up from JV just to be a part of it all. I mean, wow. We're a tiny program, and, these other big, they suit 90 kids or whatever on the sideline. I mean, it's impressive to look over and see that. But we only have about 750 students in our school, and some of these schools 1,200 or whatever it is, and so we got to work hard. We got to recruit our own hallway and get every athlete's got to play every sport, and if we can keep doing that, then we'll just keep being competitive.
Well, I noticed on Nick from N2 Media's video, he didn't include the part of our podcast when Daniel said Anacortes was a lovely town.
It is, yes.
Yeah, we've said some positive things that he didn't put in the video, so that'll be part of the lawsuit as well. Pending litigation.
Yeah, yes, I have been to Anacortes, and it is a beautiful town. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, come in. Hey, next time you guys come through, let me know. Come see the facility or come by and interview some kids or whatever, man. You guys are always welcome.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I think absolutely we're going to let you go because I know you got a sports banquet. You got your football banquet kind of coming up here too, but I hope you understand that any amount of hyperbole that we use was not intended to be disrespectful.
Absolutely.
We're just clowns. My own producer in our group chat described me as profoundly unserious, and I am wearing a bread hat right now, so I hope that nobody in Anacortes was offended by the things that we said.
No, we're all good, man. I hyped it up more than it needed to be, but now the dust has settled and we can all go back to reality. But your bread hat does look amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll extend that to my wife so she'll know that you liked it too. So. All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, no problem, guys. See ya.
Oh, man, that was head coach Justin Portz of the Anacortes
Got to remember to send him
Seahawks.
the invite to that Justin's only group chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know how sometimes when somebody's really good at something, deep down inside, you're like, oh, man, I kind of hope they're a jerk because then you can dislike them.
Yeah.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Dude.
As soon as he started talking about how
he
wasn't running the score up, I was like, oh, Daniel's in love.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
We need to order the shirts.
Yeah, order an
We
Anacortes
need
shirt.
state
I'm in.
championship shirts. We need to see if we
Yes.
can get in touch with some of their boosters.
Yes, get a state title shirt so that Justin and I can wear it because, we were a big part of that win.
We were.
Big part.
Absolutely. And we're big Anacortes fans now. This bread's really good. My wife's a good baker.
Dude, is it bad that I kind of want to eat some of your hat too?
You can have some too. It's perfect timing, actually, because we sort of need to take a commercial break.
Break me off a piece of that bread hat, please.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side?
Yes.
Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Domashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Domashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit domashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Couple things to get to. Thank you for our sponsors.
Is it good bread, though,
The
right?
law office, yes, very good bread. The law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, as well as the Spivey Realty Group, the sponsor of our Spivey Athlete of the Week. Oh shoot, I was gonna read that comment. Just Andrew, can you scroll up just a tiny bit?
Oh,
on our comments. Your brother was telling us where the phrase "eat my hat" came from. There we go. Bridges used "eat my hat" phrase back in the 1700s. That's print, though, so you got to assume it was used colloquially. I hate that word. Colloquially. Vocally.
It's like rivalry.
Prior to that. So then he thinks it was used by Dickens. So that is where the term comes from.
When I looked up the root of it, it was a Charles Dickens. It was a Charles Dickens thing. But here's the thing: if he's saying that, like,
thanks, Nick,
the most potential modern origin of that was the 1700s.
Yeah.
And my instinct in the heat of the moment was when I was in the comments was I'll eat my hat.
What else are you gonna say?
I'm just an old soul.
It sounds great. Let's see.
I don't regret
Chase
it.
has a good point. He wants to know if we're just going to forget about you accusing them of illegal recruiting after they didn't have a program.
Andrew, when he said that he hadn't heard of us, I was so excited.
It wasn't an accusation.
Chase, we were all supposed to forget about that. Actually, that never happened. Mandela effect. That never happened.
Allegedly, even, it wasn't an accusation. It was an insinuation.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I was insinuating things. Yeah.
Pending litigation.
Yep. Let's see. Nick says, great interview, guys. And then he says, I appreciate your positive feedback on the basketball stream. You should join me sometime. Oh, dude, that'd be fun.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, if there's let's see, Kelso, Mark Morris. Oh, there could be some team games up here. I looked at his
schedule. I don't think we have any of our local teams playing against on his schedule this year.
Shoot. Well, when district happens,
yeah.
Well, it depends on if Aberdeen can make it into districts. We might have some crossover down there. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be cool.
So yeah.
We'll play that
that's 2A though, because if he covers some 1A teams too, then
he's got La Center down there. So yeah, that could definitely happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I don't know, Seton Catholic's Vancouver. I don't know if that might be outside of his area a little bit, but not far.
Also, in his stream comments, I said go Kelso, and because we got family ties to Kelso, and then I checked back in at the end of the game to look at the final score.
Not good.
Woof. I think it was like 65-35, Mark Morris.
Whoops.
Yeah. Shocker. Mark Morris is really good. Also, I then remember that we have family ties to Mark Morris, though, because Andrew's cousin's husband is one of the coaches for Mark Morris. So, Nick, I got family ties to Mark Morris.
It's a small world.
My wife's cousin's husband, one of the assistant coaches.
Whoa.
Yeah. Don't ask me his name. I can't remember it at the moment.
It's Mark Morris.
If only.
That's why you got the job.
Yeah. What are we doing now?
We're going to round things up locally.
Oh. Like a roundup?
Yeah.
Not the pesticide, though, right?
Aberdeen's wrestling team placed third overall at the Ramrock Invitational last Saturday at North Thurston High School. The Bobcats.
Sorry.
not Team Ramrod.
Oh.
The Bobcats scored 129 points to place third behind River Ridge and Olympia and had the top team score among 2A teams. Landon Hamblin won the 285-pound weight class for Aberdeen, with Ryder Lassard, Adonis Hammonds, Michael Hatton, and Eric Silveria each taking second in their weight classes.
Elma's wrestling team won the team title at the Warrior Wrangle. Man, I'm loving these wrestling invitational
Warrior
names.
Wrangle.
Warrior Wrangle. Last Saturday in Rochester.
It's a rivalry.
The Eagles got first place finishes from Jordan Meadows in the 113-pound weight class, Xavier Espinoza at the 120, Rusty Johnson at 157, Lucky Duvier at 165, and Levi Russell at 175. Elma outscored second place Tumwater. Suck it, Tumwater. 189.5 to 119.5. Colin, Chandler, Luis Torres, Aiden Johnson, and Ben Totten each notched a second place finish for the Eagles. At the same meet, Hoquiam placed fifth as a team, with first place finishes from Junior Soto at 126 and Oliver Bryson at 190.
This boys wrestling season should be really interesting. I think preseason, Monty and Elma were ranked 2 and 3. Don't ask me which one was which, but they're two of the best 1A wrestling programs in the state. Hoquiam girls basketball team improved to 2-1 on the season with a 49-31 home win over Tahola on Tuesday. Sydney Gordon led the Grizzlies with 17 points and 10 rebounds. Aaliyah Kennedy chipped in 10 points and 9 boards, while Lexi LaBounty added 10 points and 8 steals. Hoquiam kept the momentum going on Thursday with a 60-57 win at Aberdeen, snapping a 5-game losing streak in Myrtle Street rivalry games.
Wait.
Hoquiam's what?
They had Lexi for 10 points?
In the game against Tahola?
Oh, okay, good. Whew, sorry, my bad. Interrupted you for no reason.
In the Aberdeen game, Hoquiam's Caitlin Broadhead led all scorers with 18 points to go along with 5 steals. Gordon racked up 17 points and 12 boards, and Kennedy added 11 points and 13 rebounds to go along with 3 steals. Bentley Brown led the Bobcats with 14 points, and Abby Manio chipped in 11.
Montesano's girls basketball team improved to 2-2 on the season with a 57-46 win over stupid Tumwater on Thursday. Evangeli Dalen led the Bulldogs with 23 points, while Ava Schrader scored 13 and pulled down 11 boards. Teander Olsen racked up 8 assists to go with her 9 points and 5 rebounds.
Ava Schrader is going to be a huge part of that team. She is a rebound machine.
Love it.
Hoquiam improved to 3-2 on its boys basketball season with a 55-46 win at Shelton on Tuesday and a 65-49 win at home over Kalama on Wednesday. Standout sophomore Lincoln Nemi hit 8 3-pointers and scored 32 points for the Grizzlies, while also pulling down 7 rebounds and dishing out 5 assists against Shelton.
That's a lot.
Nemi scored 32 again for Hoquiam against Kalama, this time knocking down 6 trays to go along with 8 assists and 8 boards. Heck of a week for Lincoln Nemi.
Did you know that Kalama backwards is Amalak? Montesano opened its boys basketball season with a brace of losses. That's a pair of losses. The first coming at home on Monday to Rainier. Hey, you're wearing a Rainier hat.
I am.
51-27, and the second at Black Hills on Friday, 61-36. The Bulldogs got in the win column on Saturday with a 46-30 win over Shelton at the Moda Center. What? At the Moda Center in Portland?
Yeah, they played at the Blazers Arena.
They played Shelton down there?
Weird, right?
That's very weird. In the win over Schmelton, Mason Fry led Monty with 20 points, and Tarek Gunter scored 15. Gunter and Fry, sounds like a law firm, each went 3 for 6 from the NBA three-point line in the contest. They were just chucking it from the NBA line?
I assume it was the only three-point line on the court, so they went by it.
Oh, dude, that'd be sick. Caden Grubb led the Bulldogs with 8 rebounds.
Do you think we should call the law office of Gunter and try to represent us in ongoing litigation against N2 Media?
Probably.
Acosta boys basketball remained undefeated on the season with a 53-37 win at Ilwaco on Wednesday. Caden Turner led the Wildcats with 20 points, and Dalton Welch led the way defensively with 4 steals.
Elma's boys basketball team continue its hot start to the season by improving to 3-0 with a 61-56 win over Balake Hills. Reigning Spivey Athlete of the Week, Isaac Dunking McGaffey, led the Eagles with 19 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, and 2 steals in the win. Traden Carter added 9 points while dishing out 5 assists. Elma suffered its first loss of the season at home on Friday, falling 67-48 to undefeated Forks.
Yeah, Forks is good this year.
Sporks!
I think Forks beat Aberdeen too. I think they're good this year.
Fartins.
Despite winning the majority of events, Aberdeen's swim team fell to Kelso 90-81 on Wednesday at the Grays Harbor YMCA in Hoquiam. The Bobcats won 7 of the meet's 12 events, but Kelso's depth proved to be the deciding factor in the meet. Jacob Halleck won the 200 individual medley and the 100 backstroke, and teamed up with Cole Nylander, Zeke Olsen, and Denny Linker to win the 200 medley relay and the 200 freestyle relay. That's pretty much maximum winning for Jacob Halleck there.
Yeah.
Olsen picked up the individual win in the 100 butterfly, Nylander won the 100 breaststroke, and Micah Schroeder, shocking that he's great at athletic things,
yes,
took first in the 1-meter dive. Aberdeen's swim and dive team was back in action on Saturday in Longview at the Mark Morris Sprint Pentathlon. The Bobcats took 6th as a team, and Halleck placed 13th overall in the individual standings with a pair of 4th place finishes. And that is going to do it for this roundup of local sports.
The Monarchs! Sorry. Had to throw that in there. If you know, you know. Because Daniel in the comments said, down with the Monarchs!
I don't know what that is.
Oh, dude. I've got a show for you to watch.
I have a question for you, though.
We're not going to talk about it now, but I've got a show for you to watch.
I have a Tolkien question for you.
Oh. Well, I'm all ears, good sir. I'm glad Andrew is here.
Question or a token question?
Tolkien.
Oh, okay.
Of the JRR variety?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why didn't they just fly the
Are you going to say the
Mordor?
Eagles? You know what? The man answered the question himself.
Yeah, he answered it by saying shut
up.
But why didn't they do it?
What would you have a book about? I like Andrew's answer better.
Wait, also, there's a crap ton of Nazgul flying little creatures around.
Yep, there's other flying
Eagles
creatures.
Can't get into Mordor
The
until
Dementors.
after the ring is destroyed. Once the ring is destroyed, then the Eagles can go pick them up, and they do.
Were they worried about the Dementors, or was it like the vampires?
Yes, it's the Dementors.
The sparkly vampires.
Yeah,
no vampires.
It was It was like the vampires from Underworld.
Well, you never know when Wookiees are going to fly in on a spacecraft, too. You know, you gotta watch out.
You know what? It wasn't the Ewoks. Or the Gremlins. Or the Trolls.
Wookiees are like... Or Ewoks are like the little people of Wookiees. Right?
Oh, 100%. Gotta be, right?
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I'm
not a sci-fi guy.
We're drifting into some where it turns out the Ewoks are all descended from like crash-landed midget Wookiees.
Well, I don't want to make it seem like they're outcasts or something. Like they didn't send them to whatever that Tatooine or whatever that planet was.
It was an accident. It was an accident.
Happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Let's see. What else do we got down in the comments? He says R.A. Long plays Monty, but it's up there, so he's not going to come up here for that.
I'll be there probably.
Dude, hey, I found out that the game that was listed online as Hoquiam versus Raymond South Bend, which usually means a home game, apparently it was a tournament game at Raymond. So I don't know why I didn't just say at
the
Raymond.
Holiday Tournament. Yeah.
So I'm still planning on broadcasting that.
In Raymond.
On the 28th in Raymond.
Yeah.
Would you want to go? Go down to Pat County?
What day of the week is that?
It's the 28th.
It is Saturday.
I think it's
it is
Saturday.
The Saturday after Christmas.
Saturday after Christmas.
Probably.
Dude.
Yeah.
Go down
boys
in
or
the
a girls game?
Girls game.
Okay.
Boys play after. So.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Could be
This
fun.
is a good hat.
Dude.
This is the best hat I've ever eaten.
Best hat
Why are
I've
you
ever
wearing
tasted.
it?
Well, it doesn't stay on my head very well. Okay, I'll wear it.
I noticed you took it off as soon as we hung up with Coach.
You're right.
Yeah. Come on, man. Dude, I gotta say, you gotta get it off the pan.
Yeah.
I think it'll stay on your head better if you get it off the pan.
It's gonna break.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
We tried for like 15 minutes.
Let's see. Francis hopping in saying Endor and Andrew, you're gonna have to help me with this. Kashyyyk? Not even the same planet's bread boy. Yeah, we were saying that they crash landed.
Yeah.
There.
Dude,
that
Francis,
was
keep up, dude.
Yeah, and then he says we Wookiees and Ewoks are not the same. Well, we offended Francis here. Throwing that
I
one.
offend Francis so regularly.
That's like your thing.
Yeah.
Like
even sometimes when we're not on air, I just defend him. And sometimes I do it on purpose.
What are our nominations?
You want to run through the nominees? So we have.
Are these from outside sources? that we got?
A couple of them are.
All right,
Or
cool.
are they just money players that you...
I don't see any Oh, I see one Monty player on there.
Yeah, there's one Monty
Oh,
player.
okay.
So we'll start with Jacob Halleck because he is from Aberdeen Swimming. He in the meet against Kelso won 2 individual events and was a part of 2 relay wins as well. Mm-hmm. Which again is kind of maximum winning in swimming because you can only play so many events, and if you win all of them, it's maximum winning.
Is 4 the limit?
Yes.
Okay.
And that happened a ton to us when I was swimming also because
Well, especially Kelso. It's a 3A school.
Yeah, and just if we would have meets where all of our guys would be in the top 5 of everything that they race.
Well, it's just a dual meet, right? So like you just have 2 teams competing against each other. So.
But if you only have like 8 or 9 swimmers, you don't even get all of the possible points that you can get, and they're racking up points. I don't remember how far back the points go, but
which is why Aberdeen can win the majority of events, but Kelso has the depth which they win the meet.
Daniel,
so that combined with the fact that Jacob also in the Mark Morris Sprint Pentathlon, which is a much bigger meet, had a 13th overall finish in individual standings with 2 4th place finishes.
I'm not sure why Daniel was in this event, but he said he almost drowned doing a 200 individual medley at state. As a diver, he did not have the stamina required, and with 15 yards left in the fly, basically died.
Well, the pool's not that deep, so couldn't he just stand up?
The pool at state is actually really deep.
How deep?
It's like...
They want it to be a life or death sport.
I want to say it's like 15 feet at one end and 10 feet at the other, or something like that. Like you couldn't stand.
You know what would make it really interesting? If there were doors on the side that allowed sharks to come in. So
Dude,
like at some point, like
with lasers.
They don't even need the lasers, man. Ever since I saw that in a James Bond movie, I've been terrified of being in a pool alone my entire life.
So number 1, you have like a time limit where, okay, if you're not done by this time, we allow the sharks in. And then you have separate doors where if you're not done by this time, we allow the sharks with lasers in.
Justin, I feel like you should attend a swim meet before you start coming up with ideas to make it more exciting.
I think I could fix the sport. I think I could fix swimming.
I don't think it needs to be
what
fixed.
you need is
I
sharks.
think you should fix basketball instead.
Sharks
could probably fix basketball.
We'll do bull sharks because they can survive in fresh water or salt water, but I think also
I don't know if they can do chlorine water.
That's the thing is you can have a saltwater pool.
Oh,
you can
there
have
we
a
go.
saltwater
That
pool.
would fix swimming as a sport, is
Right.
because I'm sure Andrew knows chlorine's got to be like nasty for you.
There's no good options.
Also
I
operating-
think salt's a bit better, but the salt pools also the salt like messes with your hair and skin.
I'm really worried about my hair.
Ryan Guy, the fire guy, who previously said Merry Christmas to you as well, but also he says Final Destinations, sharks and pools.
Yeah, I think also I operated under the assumption that the sport of swimming needs fixing.
Yeah,
which probably is a bad assumption by me.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps fixed it.
Yeah, there we go.
So we also had nominations for Lincoln Nemi of Hoquiam basketball.
Yeah, just a couple of 32-point games.
Back-to-back days, too. Back-to-back days, 32-point games, and some other good stats to go along with it. Lincoln was one of our players to watch that we posted at the beginning of basketball season. He's only a sophomore. He had an excellent freshman year. He was first-team All-League as a freshman for Hoquiam last year. He's going to have a great year. The other one, this is one that I'm very intrigued by, Sydney Gordon from Hoquiam basketball, not only with 2 double-doubles with 17 points, one of those coming in the Myrtle Street rivalry game against Aberdeen. I think that's a big one.
And so as I'm watching the game, first of all, Caitlin Broadhead had 18 points, and it was so quiet. Like when I added up her point total at the end, I was like, what? She led them in scoring. She had a ton of free throws, capitalized on a couple of threes, did very well. She also played great defense, taking nothing away from her. And the majority of the time, though, I felt like Aaliyah Kennedy was the best player on the floor. And she finished with 11 points, 11 rebounds, kind of went cold in the second half. Third quarter, had to sit for a little bit because she had a collision and went out for a little bit. I was really scared because she went and threw up in the garbage can where we could all see for a little bit.
To the garbage can.
And I was worried that it was a head injury, but then she was like, no, my stomach just felt weird. And so I was like, okay, odd. But anyway, then came back and played very well again, finished with 11 points, 11 rebounds. But the thing with Sydney Gordon's performance in that game, she had 6 of her 12 rebounds in the fourth quarter alone. And she also had 8 of her 17 points in the fourth quarter. So when it was finishing time, Sydney Gordon finished the game.
Awesome.
And that's what gave me the edge, because Caitlin and Aaliyah played awesome games as well. But if it wasn't for Sydney Gordon at the end of that game, they don't win that game against Aberdeen. And so it was just like, hey, when it was crunch time, she was the person who stepped up, and she was the person they went to over and over. And she grabbed keyboard after keyboard. So I thought that was a bit of an escalator in that game for her.
And I think Hoquiam's girls basketball team is it's super interesting.
It's very interesting
because not only do they have Sydney Gordon, they have Lexi LaBounty. Those girls are both back next year. They have Caitlin Broadhead, which is a senior, really good player for them. But they also have Renasia Burtonshaw and Aaliyah Kennedy as freshmen. This is a team that not only are they going to turn some heads this year, they're going to be really fun to watch over the next couple of years. They're super athletic, and they're going to be able to make some plays.
And they have Caitlin's little sister Avery as a freshman too. So and they also have a couple of sophomores that are really interesting as well. That Austin Capoman was one of the first kids off the bench who played really well for him as a sophomore.
Capoman, isn't that a Tohola name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know 50 Capomans, then you don't know anything about Tohola, because there's some stud athletes out there. I played with a Charlie.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, he was so good. And then Maya Stansteifer's a sophomore as well. And yeah, it's just a really interesting group coming up for Hoquiam, and I think this could be the start of something.
Well, this could be the year where it's like you sent a text to our group chat that was like, Hoquiam's girls team has life, and they've been in a bit of a dead spot. This hasn't been a bad program. They've been pretty good. And they've been in kind of a down area. But this could be the spark that's at the beginning of something that's really fun over the next few years for Hoquiam girls basketball for sure. And I think Hoquiam basketball overall, you can already see what Lincoln Nemi's doing. He's got Joey Bozich there. We already know there's great athletes in the junior high programs in Hoquiam as well. Riker Maxfield, super young. Ethan Byron, super young. So over the next few years, I think Hoquiam's basketball, whether they contend for a state trophy or not, they're going to be really fun to watch.
Absolutely. Then we're looking at also Mason Fry.
Yeah, Mason Fry for Monty led the team at the Moda Center, which is super cool.
That's so cool.
Hitting 3 out of 6 threes from the NBA line and scoring 20 points. He also led the team with 12 points in an earlier loss in the week. I think it was against Black Hills. He had 12 points for them. But Mason Fry, that's a junior, and Monty's team had just an insane amount of seniors last year. I think it was 9. They might have started with 10, ended with 8. I can't remember exactly how it all went down.
Well, and a junior who wasn't coming back because he was an exchange student.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they had basically it's full turnover for their team. I also think they have a ton of really interesting athletes, and they're going to be fun to watch as well.
Well, they got 2 grubs for starters.
A couple of grubs, which we've banned on this show, but on the court they're allowed to participate. But yeah, no, I think Mason Fry is going to be a really interesting athlete to watch. Tarek Gunter, Nathan Dowler, a couple guys who have some varsity experience. I'm really hoping that we'll get to see Caleb Bruland out there doing some damage for Monty. Colton Grubb as a guard, really good, super athletic kid, and then his twin brother Caden Grubb. I had my sons telling me what a great rebounder Caden is. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Caden's 6'2", 6'3", something like that. He's really tall. That kid jumps out of the gym. I had an opportunity to watch him not only get position on people. I think the game that I watched when they lost to Rainier, their opener, Caden had 6 offensive rebounds in the first half. So definitely expecting to see big things from him as well.
Dude, you know what's weird? Whenever I think of someone jumping really well, as rebounding, my ankle starts to feel weird because all I can think of is coming down in traffic. I've never had that thought while playing basketball, but thinking about it,
well, you've had it sometimes.
It makes my ankle it's tingling and twitching right now because I'm just thinking of rolling my ankle.
After you come down.
After I come down,
you've had that thought after
Daniel,
you come
you're
down.
not supposed to visualize failure.
Having had my ankle bone touch the ground while the rest of my leg was straight,
the
yes,
ankle
that
bone's
thought,
connected to the foot bone.
It definitely crossed my mind in that situation. Yes, but while I'm jumping, I've never gone, maybe I shouldn't jump here because I'm going to land on somebody's foot. And yet, after the fact...
I'll never forget what our friend Steve Bovey told us when you turned your ankle really hard in that one rec league game where he was like, Daniel's ankle touched the ground. Not his foot.
Yeah.
His foot turned sideways and his ankle touched the ground. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, he almost threw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, after almost punching somebody, then he almost threw up. Real quick here. Nick says, is Elma the best boys team in the EVCO this year? Dude, it's wide open.
It's super wide open, but I think Elma's been the best performer so far.
Yeah. But if you talk to Chase, who's also in the comments, they're a young team. Yeah. And so I think they could grow into the best team. But you could say that about Monty, Elma, and Hoquiam, I think.
I think it's going to be really interesting
and then
to
who
see
knows
what
about
happens with Tenino.
Yeah.
My early impressions of Rochester looking at the results is they're not good. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't compete in this league.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird league this year.
Tenino had a terrible start, multiple 20-plus point losses.
I think Burkhart
was hurt, and I don't know if Burkhart's back, but they did get kind of back on track with a win. So I don't, and Hoquiam's looked pretty good. Obviously we're talking about Lincoln Nemi having 32 points in back-to-back games. How much that this happened kind of early last year too, and then some teams kind of figured out what to do later in the season. But you mentioned Daniel, Lincoln looks different. Lincoln, he's got a different body, he's a different athlete, and the way he's playing is more conducive to being successful down the road.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Even Chase says right now Elma and Hoquiam are looking the strongest, but Monty will get it going. And Chase thinks it's going to be a 3-horse race, and I think that's all of us not knowing if Tenino's going to pull out of it without Noah Scow.
Throw him in there. I think you got to throw Tenino in the running at least until you see what happens. Once they're at full strength.
Yeah.
What do they look like with Jack Burkhart? Because he was a huge part of what they did. And obviously Noah Scow, who transferred to Annie Wright, best player in the league.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But Burkhart was huge. Great rebounder, really good inside presence. When you have that back, and they have Austin Gagne, who's also a really good athlete and a good scorer. Yeah. So there's a decent chance they're going to compete for the top of the league too.
Yeah. Even though, as Chase mentioned, they haven't won yet.
I think they did win. I think Tenino won one game.
Just a little bit of insight into who I am, Justin. You would say I'm a fairly athletic person, right?
Yes.
I jump okay?
Yes.
My dad texts me, that's amazing since you can barely get a dime under your shoe when you jump. Come on, Dad!
Does he have us confused?
Yeah, that's Andrew.
That would be really weird.
mean, honestly,
Come
though,
on.
Dad, who would put a dime under their shoe when they're jumping? What if you slip on it when you come down?
I would have rolled my. Now, if he would have said, you could have rolled your ankle on a dime. Yes. Absolutely.
I have a way I'm leaning for Athlete of the Week.
I do too. I'm really curious what you're thinking, because I'm thinking.
I kind of want to go. Sydney Gordon.
Oh, interesting.
What's your thought?
I was leaning towards Jacob Halleck.
Okay, that's a good one too.
Because as you mentioned, maximum winning.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. If Andrew wants to overrule me and go Sydney Gordon,
well, if it's a tie, you know what the result's going to be.
I know he's not gonna.
He's gonna go Bobcat.
Yeah. Especially Bobcat swimmer. I feel like
It's religious. Sorry.
But he maximum winning.
Yeah.
Against Kelso.
Yeah.
Like Kelso, as I mentioned, this is a 3A school.
Right.
It's a big school.
And then really good finishes to follow it up
Yeah.
on the weekend at the Mark Morris meet.
Right. So, I don't know.
I get on board with that. I can get on board with that.
But sure. We also have the bias of when we see somebody.
Yeah.
And I saw Sydney Gordon play awesome.
She also has
Aberdeen.
the escalator of it being a Myrtle Street rivalry game.
Right.
And they snapped a 5-game losing streak against Aberdeen with that win.
Dang, you had to bring that up.
That's a big one. I think in my mind I got kind of excited about like the revitalization of the Hoquiam girls basketball program, because I've had a lot of good memories watching that program.
Yeah.
And like, especially when Chad Allen has been the coach, they're so fun to watch. They play fast, they play athletic, they force turnovers, they want to get out, they want to work in transition. So I've had a lot of fun watching Chad's teams play, and I thought, like, it's hard to have the idea that, like, yeah, Lincoln Nemi just went out and scored 32 points with good stats in back-to-back games, and we've got 2 finalists and neither is him. Which is crazy.
I was thinking the same thing.
But we did we had him a couple weeks ago
as our player to watch.
Yeah.
And so far it's been worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
We did not get that one wrong like Tumwater. We do get things right every now and then.
Every once in a while.
Chase said that Tenino pushed La Center to OT, but they lost in our 0-6.
Okay.
But that's a step in the right direction, because normally La Center is a pretty good basketball program. Ryan, or I guess I don't know if it's Ryan. Rye Guy, the Fire Guy, says, in y'all's opinion, what's the best basketball rivalry in the 1A? In Evergreen 1A? I think we should get to that after we name an Athlete of the Week. But that is interesting to me, because I'm unsure.
Chase
but I've seen
about that too.
I've seen some good basketball games between a couple of those teams that I really think would be a good one. I'm good. I'm good with Jacob Halleck.
Okay.
I feel like swimmers have it tough for the majority of the time.
We haven't done a lot of it. Yeah.
But I think the escalator of taking on Kelso, a bigger school, and still winning the maximum amount.
Yeah.
And also, we'll go way back, Machine. Aberdeen-Kelso, that's a heated rivalry, man. Yes, it might have been the 70s, but it used to be. So, Jacob Halleck, congratulations. Taking on a phenomenal field, I got to say, by the way. I mean, especially with what Lincoln Nemi and Sydney Gordon did, and you still got me as a Hoquiam guy to vote for you instead. That is nuts. Just nuts. But what an impressive week for you, my guy. You are Spivey Athlete of the Week. Thank you again to Spivey Realty Group for sponsoring the Spivey Athlete of the Week, which this week is Jacob Halleck for a heck of a performance in the pool. Is there a fancy word for pool, Andrew? Like pitch? People use pitch instead of soccer field, or gridiron for football. In the water.
There's not a common one. You could probably call it a tank if you were trying to be
tank.
If you're trying to be pretentious.
Anyway, well done to Jacob Halleck. We're going to take another commercial break. On the other side of it, we are going to get to that question about what is the best basketball rivalry in the Evergreen 1A, because we think that's a great question. But first, a word from our sponsors. Spivey Realty Group's goal is to make buying, selling, investing, and renting real estate in Grace Harbor simple. They believe in 100% transparency and unparalleled communication with local expertise, tech-enhanced, and top-notch service for their friends, neighbors, and community. Their goal is simple: get a group of strong-willed, hard-working people together who want to make a difference in Grace Harbor and to use real estate as the means of achieving that. Voted Grace Harbor's best real estate company. Find them on Facebook or visit graceharborrealestate.com. Spivey Realty Group, elevating small town real estate. Thank you again to our sponsors, Spivey Realty Group, and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. Justin, you were gone, but Andrew just Andrew just gave me kudos for my best segue I've ever done. Okay. And actually said most professional, I think. And I still ruined it at the end by going, by a word from our sponsors. Like, I had it. I nailed it. But something in my brain was like, nah, you got to screw this up at the end. Make your voice all weird.
I wouldn't even say it's that. Like, you have an affinity for pronouncing words incorrectly. It's one of your favorite things to do. It's one of the things I love the most about you.
It's so weird.
And it's definitely always on purpose.
Definitely always. We got a couple of comments on this.
Porpoise.
On purpose.
It's just a porpoise. Sorry, go watch Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the new one with Ben Stiller. There's a great scene where these guys are like, don't worry, it's just a porpoise. And then it's a shark, and they're like, do not befriend it. It's not a porpoise. Brilliant. Anyway, sorry. Let's see. Chase says... Let's see. Montesano Hoquiam has the best rivalry, but Elma Montesano basketball rivalry has been coming back to life. And I was gonna say the Elma Monty rivalry last couple years has been awesome in basketball.
Intense.
Dude, that game last year at Monty with oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Which one?
The foreign exchange student.
DeLon Chan?
With DeLon just going bonkers and that weird, like, what happened with that play? Was there an inadvertent? It wasn't an inadvertent whistle.
The clock stopped.
The clock didn't start or something like that. And DeLon went up the floor and just bombed a three and nailed it. Oh, because there was there a collision?
Something like that.
No, I remember it. It was an inbounds.
It's probably some typical Elma mess around.
No, because shut up, my guy. If anything, it was a Monty monkey around.
Whoa.
Because it was...
That's slander.
Yeah. But I remember Seaberg rolled his ankle on the sideline, and everybody kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And Chan didn't, and went down and drilled a three.
Yeah.
It was very odd.
Yeah, it was weird. I preferred the game last year at Elma when Monty won, personally.
Yeah.
Super intense game. But yeah, there's been, over the last couple years, that's been a huge rivalry. There was a game 2 years ago at Elma that Monty had a great first half and then got boat raced in the second half. Elma came back to win pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
I think that rivalry over the last couple years has been really fun. I think it's tough with the Monty, I guess it's tough with all the basketball programs because none of them are consistently really good. They more have pockets of good.
Exactly.
And I think if of the three of them, Hoquiam's probably been the most consistently good. If you're going back 10, 15 years, kind of.
I mean, you could extend it back to 20 years if you want to include the title team.
Yeah, I think...
And they were good before that.
Then, there's been some reclassification and stuff too along those times. But I think if you look back
basically, you were just trying to say right after I graduated, they're really good. I see how it is.
I was kind of thinking
what a jerk.
More along the lines of when I kind of started covering high school sports.
Yeah, because you didn't go to any of my games.
Right after you graduated.
What a jerk.
I listened on the radio.
Did you go to any one of my games?
No. No, but I listened.
Even Andrew went to a couple of my games.
I listened on the radio, and you did a real good job, Daniel.
Oh,
your jumper sounded really smooth. But no, I think if you look at the grand scheme of things over the last 10 to 15 years, that Hoquiam has been the most consistently good.
Yeah.
But they have had a bit of a dip.
Yep.
And especially since Curtis Eccles has been gone, it hasn't been consistently really good. But I think they're on the verge of something good.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see Chase just described Elma as young. Mm-hmm. Monty is really young.
Yeah.
A bunch of sophomores that are going to be playing freshmen. They have freshmen and sophomores on the varsity roster.
Right.
Hoquiam also really young, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
So over the next few years, that rivalry could be really fun, and it could be because I'm very insulated. But if you're talking more a more condensed time frame, the Elma Monty rivalry has been by far the most fun thing.
Yeah. Right around these last couple of years.
2, maybe 3 years. Because you could go back a little further, and Hoquiam got knocked out of the playoffs because Monty went winless in the first time through league play.
Yes.
Switched coach, and then they early in the season they switched coaches. Went winless through the first round of league play, swept the second round of league play, ended up making the playoffs, knocking Hoquiam out.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting too.
Yep.
So I think that rivalry was fun. But if you're looking at more specifically the last couple of years, I think Monty and Elma has been the most fun rivalry.
I agree. Chase says, and they didn't stop the game. So that was the weird thing. What did he hurt himself on a bucket? And yet, even though there was like a mini stoppage of the game, or did he just hurt himself in play? Because that's the weird thing about plays like that is just because someone gets hurt, doesn't mean you stop the play.
Right. No, I don't. I think he hurt himself in play because remember he was
locking down Chan.
He was locking down Chan.
Yeah.
And Chan had like kind of gone off early in the game.
Yeah.
And then later it was like, okay, Kaysen, your mission is stop that man.
Yeah.
And he was doing really well. Like he was staying in his hip pocket, not letting him have anything easy, no open shots.
And then as soon as he got hurt, he goes down and hits the 30-footer.
Yeah. And Elma ended up winning that game anyway.
Yeah.
So but it was really funny or interesting the way it happened down the stretch.
That was such a good game. Yeah. That was awesome. I've been lucky. I mean, even Rick Anderson, who's been helping me with stats, which every time I say that Rick Anderson is helping me with stats is just so insane because legend. And he, after this last game.
Is he helping you with stats? Or are you just helping him with the broadcast?
Oh, there we go. I like that. He goes, man, if we can have every game you schedule like this coming down to the wire, then I'm going to do every game. Because so far this year I've covered the Willapa Valley Hoquiam game and then the Aberdeen Hoquiam girls game, and I think both games came down to like 3 points with like stuff going on in final possessions.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast.
And
and
there's
that's
so many blowouts in high school basketball. It's hard to find those closely contested games.
It is, and yet I've been like working hard to do it. And one of his things, he credits it to Rob. He says Rob Burns's quote/theory is, hey, a game between two mediocre teams is much better than watching one team play good basketball because it's exciting down the stretch, and it's been a blast so far.
As long as it's two mediocre teams and not two bad teams.
Two bad teams.
Two bad teams, even at the end, can get exciting. It can be real bad during the middle, but as long as it's, as long as it's close at the end, then it kind of redeems it.
7 or 8 steals in a row is peak entertainment.
Andrew, no.
Also, like steals or just one team throwing the ball to the other team.
That's fair.
I gotta say though,
steals would require good defense, I guess.
I'll put it this way. I just watched a JV game, the end of a JV game, and it was two bad teams, obviously, because it's JV, but Hoquiam ended up beating Aberdeen in JV in overtime. They played the entire overtime period with 4 players. It was one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. What?
They fouled out?
Yeah, because they had used all of the quarters that they had wanted to of their swing players because Renasia is actually swinging, and they had a couple people who were swinging, and they were like, sorry, we're not going to use another quarter, so these are the 4 I have with the people who have fouled out, and who else is playing, and so then they won. It was awesome.
Interesting.
I mean, it was also terrible because I'm waiting for the varsity game to start, and Rick totally jinxed it.
In a Rick
and was like, he was like, you know what would be awful if this game went into overtime? And I was like, haha, yeah, good joke, Rick. And then it did. It was the worst.
Legend.
Yeah.
One time in a rec league game, my team only had 4 guys, and we were playing against the best team in the league, and they went into a zone to stop our 4-man offense, and I found a pocket in the zone, hit 5 threes in a row. No big deal. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Just hitting threes.
Yeah.
If you only ever learned how to finish at the rim. Yes.
We lost that game by 30 points.
Yeah.
Because once they realized, hey, that guy can only shoot from that one spot, and he keeps making it, then they guarded me.
Rough.
That was Ian Day and Danny Stead and like that.
Dude, like the Aberdeen varsity?
Yes,
what the heck?
It was. They were really good, but they were like just hanging back,
Gotcha.
having a good time.
Gotcha. William McGaffey says Elma is young based off varsity playing time. Only 3 returning varsity players from last year, but the roster is still all juniors and seniors.
And Isaac McGaffey as a junior, like emerging as a star early in the year.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Great stats and a dunk, a dunk and a half.
A dunk and a half, because one was like a dunk,
I heard
but
it was
the other
a
one
rim
was like
graze. The other was
dunk.
like a legit dunk.
Yeah, the one of them was like something that I would have counted as a solid dunk had it been me, and then the other one was actually a dunk.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to really face off, drop the puck on our third period of
Let's
our
drill it for 2 minutes.
hockey show.
Oh.
With the 2-minute drill.
Let's go. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball to ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
The Seattle Mariners jumped 12 spots in the MLB draft lottery and will have the 3rd overall selection in 2025. I saw a couple mocks that saw them taking pitchers. Daniel, what positions should the Ners be looking at?
Man, I start looking at the top list of prospects, and after the top 2 people taking hitters, it's pitchers for like 7 guys. And so I'm like, man, they're just going to end up picking another pitcher.
Yeah.
This sucks. We need somebody who can swing the bat, dang it. But really, we need somebody who can do that now, so they need to trade somebody. So yeah, they'll probably get a pitcher, start replenishing that crazy pitching pipeline that they have going, and I'm going to have to just deal with it and also remind myself that whoever they pick isn't going to be in the pros for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball reportedly has considered the dumbest rule change of all to go along with their already dumb rule changes. This one is called the Golden at Bat, which you don't even do in wiffle ball because it's dumb and people would punch you in the face if you were like, hey, you know what? No, I want my best player to hit again. It would give teams the ability to send any hitter to bat once per game regardless of where they were in the batting order. Justin, would this rule make baseball more fun?
I think you already answered the question.
Sorry.
Boise State running back Ashton Genty said on Saturday he should have walked away with the award. That's a quote. After Colorado's Travis Hunter was awarded the Heisman Trophy by the narrowest margin in 15 years.
Wait, this happened already?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah,
Daniel.
that's why I was sending you things.
I haven't been online like in a day and a half. I'm so pissed.
Daniel, is Genty just salty or is he right?
No, he's right. Did he say it as calmly as I'm picturing him saying it? Like,
Probably.
man, I should have walked away with this
I
award.
only read the quote, but I'm assuming yeah.
Holy smokes. What a joke show. Like, and the only reason I say that it's a joke show is the more I've looked into it, people are right. Colorado played garbage all year. They only beat garbage teams, and when they were winning by a ton, they just padded Travis Hunter's stats by not doing what Anacortes head coach Justin Portz said to do, which is take the starters out when you're pounding somebody. Instead, they just kept chucking it deep to Travis Hunter.
He's still not the best
And
DB or wide receiver.
Exactly. It's not a Shohei Ohtani thing where he's like arguably the best pitcher and the best hitter. No, this is a good receiver and a good DB who they've been padding stats with all year, and you got Ashton friggin' Gentry who's got his team in the playoffs, Genty, whatever his name is. Sorry. I didn't know this was coming.
It's not Gentry.
No, it's not Gentry. I was mispronouncing things on purpose again. Justin, your North Carolina Tar Heels made headlines this week by signing Bill Belichick.
It's been a wild week.
Old man Belichick to a 5-year contract, which he may not die before, contract to their new head football coach. Are you excited about this move?
Well, it really is a youth movement if you think about it because...
Hey, John Ryan's going to raise the flag. Sorry.
They fired Mac Brown, their 73-year-old head coach,
Whoa.
and they hired Bill Belichick, a 72-year-old head coach.
Wait, is that Mac Brown like the old Texas coach?
Yeah. Well, he coached at Carolina before Texas, but yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a youth movement.
Yes.
I think the most exciting part of this is that this is a signal that Carolina is ready to be a significant player in football. They've upped their NIL budget reportedly from $4 million to $20 million.
Whoa!
In response to being, they're signaling to the rest of the nation that they are ready to be a serious football school. We'll see how it plays out, but like in a way, it's kind of exciting because it means that they're ready to compete.
Sorry, I didn't anticipate you properly.
Yeah, I think you did a great job.
To cut you off.
I think you did a great job.
Great job.
It is a really weird. Like when the reports first
weird?
started coming out, I was like, "Well, that's not happening."
Is it weird that North Carolina has decided to become a football school just as college football is dying?
Is
it dying?
I'm not sure
It
if
is
it's
dying.
The current form of college football is dying.
What it will happen, college football is turning into is not at all related to what the history of college football has been.
I see what you're saying. Not that college
of the 4 Heisman finalists, only one was wearing team colors.
Wait, what?
Travis Hunter wore a gold jacket. That's team colors.
You mean after he won? That doesn't count.
No, to the thing.
Oh. Well, that's team colors.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? Was it Ginty?
Ginty.
Of course.
Why
I'm rooting. It makes me upset that I'm rooting for a Boise State guy.
I'm talking about like all of the media in general around the thing. It was guys just in expensive clothes and Ginty in Boise State gear, like the whole week. I don't know. I didn't actually watch it.
I'm pretty sure
the
that's
ceremony because it was bogus and fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What a joke show. What a joke show. You know what? Just like Kirk Herbstreit's a joke show. Can we get into that for a second? Andrew sent me a quote where he said, last year he said,
so good.
Last year he's like,
good.
Florida State was only able to manage 16 points with their third string quarterback. I just don't think you can put him in the college football playoff. Then this year when Georgia gargle scored 16 points gargle with their second string quarterback gargle. This proves they should be in the playoff.
And
what a freaking joke show! Talk about national media being so freaking stupid.
What are they gargling?
I'll let you think of that. What a joke!
I'm just trying to get you in
the
trouble.
The fact that this happened back-to-back years, it's not like he said one of the things 5 years ago, but literally back-to-back years shows the absolute biased joke of a crap show that we have for national media, even in the sports realm.
But his dog is so cute.
Oh my gosh. I hate it. Freaking hate it, man. Sorry. Is it time for your favorite part of the show?
Could be.
What do you think about the Ginty thing, since I kind of stole your thunder? No.
I think we've been in lockstep on this the whole way. I think it's crazy the thought that this guy's going to have one of like the top 2 or 3 greatest running back seasons of all time, and we're going to set the precedent for not giving him the Heisman and giving it to some guy who plays both ways. When, like, Travis Hunter, he's a really good receiver. He's not the best receiver in the nation, but he's a really good receiver. And he's a pretty good corner. Like, he's good at both. He's way better on offense than he is on defense. Mm-hmm. Which is why when he goes to the NFL, he's not going to play both. He's going to play receiver.
Well, and that's so...
It's not, like you said, it's not a Shohei Ohtani.
It's not a Shohei thing.
He's not the best player on his team.
That's a good point.
How can you win the Heisman when you're not the best player in any category on your team?
Yeah.
And when we originally were talking about this, I've made the argument that if it's an MVP and you're playing 2 ways and everyone else is only playing 1 way, you kind of have to get that. But the Heisman is not an MVP award.
That's true.
It is for the best player in college football. Mm-hmm. And they didn't give it to the best player in
Colorado didn't even make it to their conference title game.
No, they didn't even play the top 4 teams in their conference. Yeah. Justin, they didn't even play.
Yeah, they pretty much made their living by...
They didn't even play the top 4 teams in their conference.
They whooped up on the bottom 5 teams in the Big 12.
But for some reason, I don't know, maybe because their coach is freaking Deion Sanders, the media loves to gargle them too.
Gargle what?
This is ridiculous. It's awful. Their team wasn't even good. Their team was bad. Look at anything, and you'll see they were a bad team. Justin, you do the head nod. They have 1 decent win, and that decent win is they beat the 5th place team in their league on a miracle Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. That was their best win of the season, and that's the 5th place team of their own league.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I wasn't. I realize we're splitting hairs here when I'm like, are they bad or are they just mediocre? But like we're semantics.
Yeah,
like
semantics.
I'm not even disagreeing with
Okay.
you. Like they're
Wait,
not.
hold on. Which one is worse? Is bad worse or
Yeah.
is mediocre worse?
Bad's worse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I wasn't like your point was like this is not
Yeah.
a good team.
Yeah.
And I completely agree.
And
with
they didn't
you.
play good competition.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ashton Ginty went freaking off against the #1 team in the country.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And they
Almost beat
stayed the
them.
#1
And-
team in the country.
And played multiple halves
Yes.
instead of full games.
Because, again, like Anacortes coach Justin Portz would have done, they didn't worry about blowing teams out and padding his stats, unlike Travis Hunter. I also want to say, playing both ways at receiver and corner, you cannot have an easier position grouping to play.
This is
You would know.
This is
the easiest thing you could possibly do is play receiver and cornerback.
If Daniel ever coaches, he will require receivers to play cornerback because it's easy.
It is. You're not every argument.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I know you feel this so deeply.
Oh my gosh. Every argument about playing both ways and why that's too hard to do in football is all about pushing up against another guy and the physical impact it takes on your body to just collision and collision and collision. Name a cornerback and a receiver that's doing that ever. Dude, you're just running up and down the field, barely touching anybody half the time.
You're literally running routes.
You're running routes and
Both
playing
ways.
basketball on a football court. You know what basketball players do? Play the whole game. It's bonkers to be like, oh my gosh, he's playing both sides of the field.
Yeah,
he's running on. Oh
Daniel,
wait, he's doing squat.
We all know
This is dumb.
We all know that the good basketball players don't play defense.
But like to what Andrew was saying,
You have a point there.
I think I saw that Ashton Ginty sat out 8 full quarters this season.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple games that he just flat out didn't
Yeah,
play.
Yeah.
because he'd go for like 180 yards and a couple touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Whoa, we don't need any more from him. Let's
Yeah.
rest him up for the championship game." I want to read.
Chase says nobody cares about. Andrew, I'll let you get to that in a second. Chase says nobody cares about strength of schedule anymore. Case in point, SMU making the playoffs and Alabama not. Bro, you're going to bring Alabama as a strength of schedule? The team that lost to Vanderbilt?
They also lost to Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma?
And Oklahoma's terrible. They got
Chase,
blown out by Oklahoma.
I am here for your argument, but not when you bring Alabama into it, my guy. Not the right team. Not the right year. Dear Lord.
I just wanted to read the Herb Street quotes because it's amazing.
Yeah.
2023, the night before final selection, Herb Street said, FSU only managed to score 16 points with their third string quarterback. Winning is nice, but it's not the only thing that matters. They aren't the same team without Jordan Travis. 2024, the night before selection, I'm impressed with Georgia being able to score 16 points with a backup quarterback. They won the game, and that's all that matters. It just shows how gritty they are.
It's insane.
Andrew, what are your thoughts about
literally insane?
What are your thoughts about why?
Why
like,
what?
Why is that the opinion? Like what's the motivation behind having such a contradictory opinion from year over year?
I think that it comes from how you do your mental processing. If your mental processing is all to support what you think is true, then this is what you look like. Mm-hmm. If your mental processing is trying to figure out what is true, then it looks different.
Yeah.
It's like
you
arriving at a conclusion and then supporting the conclusion instead of following the facts to the conclusion.
Yes.
Also,
and I'm not saying that you can have that conclusion set up because that's just how your brain works and you aren't good at thinking really good, or because people are paying you, or because you're pretty good at thinking, but all of the incentives in your life are for you to give preference to these teams over these other teams. Like, I don't necessarily think that he's an idiot or consciously corrupt, but the thought process is wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Fully.
Isn't it also interesting, just kind of back to the thought of like Alabama should like
Chase got you hot.
Yeah.
Alabama was so bad this year.
I'm just throwing this out there.
Finally.
Should have been Miami, if anything.
Anybody want to talk about how Pac-12 teams won all of the conference championships this year?
Yeah.
Remember the conference that, had to beg to get any recognition for the college football playoff? And then they all moved to different conferences and they all win their new conference championships? Oregon, Arizona State, who I didn't even know was good because in the Pac-12 they were trash. Arizona State's trash.
Still not good.
And yet they go and win their new conference. Like, what is going on? It just furthers the point of this whole thing was a joke show. That the Pac-12 was looked on every year. It was like, you have the Pac-12. They're kind of a Power 5 conference. Oh, they all go to other leagues and win the titles.
It's frustrating because it's over now.
Well, and
so like you
yeah.
can't. There's
and
no,
then
there's
the
no
SEC,
redemption arc.
Yeah, and then the SEC. By the way, they weren't even. Their title wasn't even won by an SEC team. This was Texas, a former Big 12 school.
Big 12, yeah.
And yet, what have we heard? Wait, every year after year after year, the SEC is just so much better than everybody else.
Did Texas win that, or did Georgia win that?
They beat Texas in the title game. You're right. You're right. So Texas lost in the championship game. So I am wrong there.
But your point is valid, which is, we've been saying for not just us, but like Pac-12 supporters for years have been saying that the Pac-12 just beats up on each other.
Yeah.
And the SEC has 2 really good teams or 3 really good teams year over year, but the depth of the Pac-12 is what that's the problem. The last year, and we talked about this at the time. That was the first time I started hearing national talking heads say, well, here it is, the yearly thing of Pac-12 teams just beating up on each other. We talked about this on our show. Yeah. It was the first time it happened. Now the Pac-12's gone.
Yeah.
So now we don't get to have the
It's not gone.
It's gone in its previous.
The People's Heisman in the Pac-12.
It's gone in its previous iteration. And in its previous form.
Yeah.
So now we don't get to have the redemption arc. You don't get to have oh, look, everyone's kind of starting to see the Pac-12 was real. It's disassembled.
What if,
and
hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if Boise State wins the Natty and then is part of the Pac-12? Is that a redemption arc?
I don't know. I'm going to claim it.
Yeah.
I'll claim it. Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, real quick. But right before I get into this, I would like you to go up and look up where South Carolina finished this season. Because we're going to talk about the Alabama, Chase, sorry to pick on you here, the Alabama strength of schedule argument here. They beat Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin, who is unranked. They beat Georgia, so they have one good win. Yeah. The eventual SEC champs.
Also, that game was weird.
They
jumped out to a massive lead early on, had a ton of momentum, and almost blew it at the end.
Yeah, so that's their one good win I'm seeing is they beat the eventual SEC champs, Georgia. Then they lost to Vanderbilt, who literally is like the biggest whipping boy of all time.
They were average this year.
They beat South Carolina, who was ranked 15th, by 2 points. They lost to Tennessee. They beat number 19 Missouri.
Shouldn't have been ranked that high.
They beat LSU unranked. They beat Mercer, playing slappies again.
Oh, Mercer.
They lost to unranked
Island?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's bad this year. Bad.
Yeah. And then
they got whooped by Oklahoma.
They beat unranked Auburn. Where's the strength of schedule there?
There's no strength of schedule.
There just isn't.
And also, if you look at the
and
SEC,
yet because it's Alabama, you're drilled into your head by the talking heads like Herb Street to think, oh, Alabama, they have a really tough schedule.
If you're curious about these things, check out the SEC schedule versus Big 10, Big 12, ACC this year.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
The SEC is not the powerhouse. They might still – it's possible they could still be the best conference, but if they are, it's by a super slim margin.
Yeah. Where'd South Carolina end up in the rankings?
4th in the SEC. 9-3.
Were they like nationally ranked?
15th maybe.
Okay, so they ended up at 15.
They ended up being
15
decent.
here.
Okay.
There was an argument for them had they not lost the head-to-head versus Alabama. They might have been
my
the
dad.
12th team.
My dad asked if media gets NIL money.
No,
maybe they get bonuses.
Media is the source of the money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's
Okay.
kind of the problem.
I'm done ranting.
Okay.
We could fix college football if we just didn't allow people to charge for media rights for public college games.
Andrew's been banging this drum for years.
Yep.
Anything else, Andrew?
It will never
you wanna,
happen.
Andrew, is there anything else you want to add on college football before
Dude,
we
you
move
guys
on?
are both wearing
I don't
Rainier
think so.
hats.
Yeah.
I need to get myself a
Blue and red.
I need to get myself a Rainier hat, man.
Let's stick with college football and move on to my favorite part of the show.
Oh.
Give me a second. I'm sorry.
No,
forgive
Andrew,
you.
you made the ooh
Serving
sound. You're
questions
supposed
up
to go,
on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
Stump Daniel is brought to you by the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. And Daniel, what I'd like to do...
Why is the sad music playing?
Because
I wanted to mess with Justin, that's all.
Ashton Genty did not win the Heisman.
So it is on point.
I loaded this in.
I think it's fair.
Because I knew that Justin was going to be eating bread and I didn't know what direction he'd go with it.
Gotcha.
I've actually been really enjoying it, as you can tell by this giant portion of hat.
Dude.
Here, hold on. I'm going to show this to the camera. There's a giant portion of hat that's missing, largely because...
I'm going to eat Justin's hat.
I have Daniel had a little bit. I've been eating hat as the whole show went on.
That's true.
Yeah, hats for everyone.
This is probably a bad... We don't need Justin incentivized to eat more hat.
That's fair.
Or do we? Because then we get to eat hat.
Yeah, I don't know. The bread's really good. It's homemade bread by my wife. It's excellent. So I'm not going to complain about it.
But Chase says strength of wins. I just don't think SMU should be in.
No.
So bring a different team to the table. Don't say Alabama, my guy.
So here's the thing: is like, this is happening with the ACC too, where they're like, people are like, oh well, yeah. If you're looking at this is with the Miami argument. If you're looking at Georgia Tech, you lost to Georgia Tech, and I'm like, okay, Georgia Tech lost barely to Georgia in like 8 overtimes. So like, there's not that much separation between like the mid to high level ACC teams and the mid to high level SEC teams.
Yeah.
Like they're all kind of on the same level now.
Yep.
We don't need to have these conversations like the ACC is some kind of like the SEC program players when they get drafted into the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be so hard for them to adjust to the lower level of competition in the NFL. Like, it's not a thing anymore. The SEC is not what it used to be. The
one thing I will
transfer
say,
portal and NIL has made it a much more level playing field where if you're in a Power 4 conference, especially, you have a much better shot of competing.
If you're in a Power 4 conference, you can just
Power
take all of
5
Oregon
conference.
State and Washington State's players
I'm hoping the Tar Heels will do that. With
and then choke like Miami.
The thing that I have thought was
Against
interesting
Syracuse.
is the big southern schools, the game atmosphere. I can definitely see how if you're playing in, what do they call LSU's?
Let's see,
Is it
Baton
the Big
Rouge.
House?
If you're playing in one of those schools that like packs 100,000 people into a stadium, and then you go to an NFL team that's like 60,000 or
less.
That I definitely see how that would be. The people you're playing are better, but the atmosphere would definitely be
Death Valley.
Death Valley.
Death Valley. Yeah, that's.
But you go to the Horseshoe for Ohio State.
Yeah.
You go to the Big House for Michigan.
I think that there
you have some
are
places in college football that are
number
nuts.
of college football.
Husky Stadium.
Get out of here.
Husky
I throw a hat at
Stadium
you.
might be in the top half, but I think that there's a
Top
case
half
to
of
be
losers.
made that there are game atmospheres, especially in the South, that the NFL never approaches
'Cause it's a religion.
Or if they do, it's like
College Station, Texas A&M.
It's Seattle or Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like there's a few.
There's a couple.
There's a few NFL teams that have a reputation for a big atmosphere, but I feel like there's some college
Atmosphere-wise, that
blow
checks
it
out.
of the water.
Daniel, in honor of Ashton Genty, I went and found 6 college running backs who rushed for more than 2,000 yards.
I'm not going to get to it, but Chase just pumped another comment in there that just makes me
What'd he
mad.
say? What'd he say?
Personally, I'd rather see teams that can actually win the national championship making the playoffs. Alabama, despite the losses, has the ability to win it all. I don't want another TCU. Dude,
Alabama doesn't have the ability to win the SEC.
All you're saying is, I believe, without what happened on the field as the barometer, that this team can win. Then what are we playing the games for? We need the results on the field, otherwise we can pick our winners at the beginning of the season without playing any games. This team has the talent to win a national championship. You are in the national championship, sir. I don't care if you win 4 games. You are a talented team. That's why we play the games. That's why we play the games. I know that's a quote from some rant somewhere.
Chris Berman.
But that's why we play the games. If not, put it on a spreadsheet. Sorry, Chase. I love you, Chase, but I can't agree with you any less on this situation.
It's just operating on old information. Like, the landscape of college football has changed to where, like, the teams that are in the top 12, they all have a shot to win a game or two. There's not one or two clear national title contenders.
I hope that you're right, but Oregon looks really good.
Well, yes, but also Boise State almost beat Oregon.
Yeah.
And if you talk to any of the normal any of the normal talking heads, the one team who they're like, well, Boise State's in it.
Boise State not even in a Power 5.
3 or 4, yeah.
Okay, Daniel, I looked up 6 college running backs who rushed for 2,000 yards and did not win the Heisman Trophy.
How many?
6.
Dang.
There's actually way more.
Wow.
I just picked 6 that were kind of more in our era.
Wow.
Like from the year 2000 on, because I wanted to make sure everybody in this, you would know who they were.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the running back and the school they went to.
Gonna go with old Rontrell McGillicuddy of the 1920s.
And your task...
Rontrell was such a new name, not an old name. My bad.
Your task
Winston
is to tell me who is the quarterback that won the Heisman Trophy over these running backs.
Nice. I like this.
We're going to start in 2014 with Wisconsin running back Melvin Gordon, who rushed for 2,587 yards.
There's a name.
In 2014, Daniel, which quarterback won the Heisman Trophy over Melvin Gordon?
2014, so that's 10 years ago. Heisman winner.
I give you the conference of the quarterback if you want it.
Does it penalize me in some way?
No, it's just fun.
Okay.
Pac-12.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to say Colonel, is it Colonel or General Andrew Luck? That was about that time frame, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
Dang it. It wasn't Mark Sanchez, was it?
It's Captain Andrew Luck.
It's
Captain.
The correct answer is Oregon Ducks quarterback Marcus Mariota.
Oh my gosh.
Drafted, second overall by my Tennessee Titans?
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
So was that the year before or the year after Andrew Luck? Just
One of
curious.
those. Yeah.
No.
One of those.
I think it was the year after, because Luck was with Russell Wilson in the 2013 class? Right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was.
Wow.
Andrew, can you Google that real quick
I
for
think
me?
that's right. I think that's right. Or was it 2012?
I think it was either 12 or 13. I just knew it was around that area.
Towards 12 now.
Okay.
Daniel, your next one.
Okay.
2007.
Yeah, because they were in the Super Bowl in 2013.
2012?
2012? Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say 2013, Russell Wilson was playing.
Right.
UCF running back Kevin Smith lost out to this quarterback after rushing for 2,567 yards.
What year?
2007.
Oh.
The conference? SEC. Sometimes more
I'm gonna
information
say
complicates it.
Jamarcus Russell.
That is a really good guess. Not correct.
Dang it.
You're 0 for 2. The correct answer, in fact, was Florida quarterback Tim Tebow.
Timmy Tebow! Timmy Tebow! I should have gotten that one.
You should have gotten that one, yeah.
Wow, I feel embarrassed. Chase, trying to get on your good graces, says Duke still should have been ranked.
Wait, is that...
There is an argument for the fact that the ACC was disrespected in the final college football rankings, except for the fact that they got 2 teams in, and they didn't really have one great team.
Yeah.
They had 3 teams that were all kind of in that like 10 to 15 range.
Right.
And they got 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I think they should feel generally good about
Absolutely,
that. Also, Duke should never be in any ranking ever. Daniel, the next one, this one's going to hit close to home.
Uh-oh.
Rashad Penny. 2017 for San Diego State rushed for 2,248 yards. What quarterback from the Big 12 did he miss out on the Heisman Trophy for? 2017. This is pretty recent.
Baker Mayfield.
That is correct, Daniel. Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield, you are 1 for 3. Just 1 year later, Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin in 2018 rushed for 2,194 yards.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Just Jonathan Taylor.
Oh.
But he lost out. It might have been him if it was like 1995.
Yeah.
But he lost out to this Big 12 quarterback.
The next year?
Yeah.
The year after Baker Mayfield.
Sometimes it's harder when I add the conference.
Is it though?
Because then you're like trying to remember the guys from these specific teams from that time frame.
Well, the only thought I can have was...
It's better to have no thoughts. That's
true.
Generally how I operate.
Well, Johnny Manziel was before
Johnny
Baker
football.
Mayfield,
Okay.
right? Dude.
Also, when did Texas A&M move from the Big 12 to the SEC?
ACC, yeah. Crap, man.
See, this is where adding the conference sometimes makes it more complicated. It's harder to think of a guess.
I can't even think of quarterbacks from that time frame. So I'm struggling with.
Well, after this, we're gonna go back to like early.
I'm gonna
2000s.
say Jared Goff was in the Pac-12. Hi, Mavis. Yeah. Hi, Mavis. You're so snuggly. I'm getting attacked by a puppy. She's really cute.
It's not an attack. She just.
I'm gonna say I can't think of another quarterback around that time frame though, so I'm gonna say Jared Goff.
The correct answer is Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray, who now plays
I'm an idiot.
in the division for the Arizona Cardinals.
Idiot.
You're 1 for 4. Daniel, in the year 2000, TCU running back LaDainian Tomlinson rushed for 2,158 yards, but lost out on the Heisman Trophy to this ACC quarterback.
Oh crap!
These
I
are
thought you
all
were gonna say.
quarterbacks that they're missing.
Yeah.
All quarterbacks, yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Pac-12 or Pac-10.
Nope.
Poop. I had 2 guys lined up for
Who
this.
were they?
I was thinking either Carson Palmer,
Okay.
or Joey Harrington.
Okay. Yeah, those would have both been good guesses.
But I think
Yeah.
Joey Harrington was the next year.
Okay.
I don't know if he won it, but he was in the runnings.
I think he did win it, if I remember right.
ACC.
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 Donovan McNabb?
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. The correct answer is Florida State quarterback Chris Winkie.
Chris Winkie!
28-year-old Florida State quarterback Chris Winkie.
Old man Winkie. Oh,
You're 1 for 5. You got one more.
oh, no.
In 2002, Penn State running back Larry Johnson rushed for 2,087 yards, but lost out to this Pac-12 or Pac-10 quarterback.
2004?
2002.
2002? Andrew has got a really cute puppy.
Yeah, he does.
Oh man, she's so cute. It's not fair.
It's adorable. It's
Ah.
so adorable and very gross.
Yeah, she's a little wet. Oh. I should know this. I'm gonna say. Gosh, there were some good quarterbacks at that point.
There was.
I'm gonna say. Didn't Reggie Bush win it, not Carson Palmer?
The Tush Bush.
Ah, Matt. Nope. I'm gonna go Carson Palmer.
Well, Daniel, Carson Palmer is correct. USC quarterback Carson Palmer. You are officially 2 for 6.
I'm gonna take it. 300 batting average. 333, baby.
Seahawks are losing to the Packers 14-0 already.
Don't like that.
Just at the start of the second quarter.
Yeah, what happened, Andrew? Seemed like some total garbage.
I literally don't know what happened.
Geno Smith is 4 for 4 with 52 yards, and they're losing 14-0.
What a mid performance. 4 for 4. Come on, my guy.
Well, with
I'm just kidding.
He hasn't thrown an incompletion yet, so.
Has he thrown a pick yet?
No. Well, he's 4 for 4. He hasn't thrown an incompletion,
that's a
so
good
he
point.
can't have thrown a pick.
That's a good point.
That's going to conclude Stump Daniel, which is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. Daniel somehow did a combination of like failing miserably, but also doing pretty well. 2 for 6 on a really difficult Stump Daniel challenge. So,
I would be shocked. Shocked.
Yeah, that if Anacortes wins the state title.
Yeah. I ain't got nothing else.
I ain't got nothing else either.
I ain't got nothing.
You ain't?
I ain't.
I ain't. I'm chomping at the bit.
Dude, see, that was the thing, man. He said, well, we're chomping because it's a food show. And I'm like, what's a bit? Who's eating a bit? A bit is like a horse, like bridle type thing. Nobody's eating that. It's not food.
The last time I said when
I love how Daniel is like right on this fine edge of knowledge about horses where he knows very roughly what a horse bit is, but also he does not know what a horse bit is.
No.
Here's the thing.
I'm right there with you.
I don't know.
I identified it there.
I don't know anything about horses, but I know the expression is champing and not chomping.
Yeah.
Because horses don't chomp, they champ.
They champ.
I don't know what that means, but I know that's what it is. And for some reason, it's become a major pet peeve of mine. I don't know why. It's the same reason why I have all kinds of weird issues about what the gas total ends up on at the pump. Like I have weird compulsions, and chomping at the bit is one of them. So,
when you know the correct term, you want it to be used correctly. It's like when I hear people say via trying to be more fancy. They're like, oh, via this thing. And you're like, no, it's via. Stop trying to sound fancy because that's actually incorrect. It's via.
And you sound dumb.
But
when
you
people say
Syracuse
chomping,
educated craphead.
the person
Sorry,
who said
East Coast people,
the
man.
person I was correcting who said chomping at the
Daniel
bit
just hates oranges.
on the Pick 6 podcast, it was Coach Portz. It was the Anacortes head coach who just joined us, but I corrected that,
and
then
who we love.
Later,
but you know what? Matt doubled down on it.
He did.
Matt kept going chomp, and he was like defending it, and I was like, nah, man, champ.
Tell him to chill. We got a cease and desist letter headed Matt's way. Pending litigation, we can't talk too much about what's going on, so we're gonna hold off on any more conversation about that.
So for my co-host Justin, champing at the bit, Domashevitz, eating a bread hat, Domashevitz. I'll eat my hat
at the bit, Domashevitz.
Justin chomping at the hat, Domashevitz.
And my co-host Daniel, I know a little bit about horses, but nothing about horses, Hargrove.
And our trusty producer, Andrew, Old Faithful, lives in the woods. Has a cute puppy.
That's my wife's puppy.
Orders my wife's Christmas presents so that she doesn't know what's coming. Gross. Dang it! I was supposed to bring you a laptop to fix.
Wait,
my brother's gonna be upset.
A different laptop?
Yep, another laptop with the power cord.
Oh, Andrew, I have 4 laptops for you to fix too.
Oh, cool.
Sorry.
That's what I do in my spare time.
Andrew,
I'm actually going to bring all of them. No charger cords. Just fix them.
Yeah, there's no hurry. These are free laptops he got, so I don't have any
no
timeline
hurry,
for you.
but like a week or 2 would be cool.
After Christmas is good for me.
Like literally the day after.
Chase,
Christmas.
as you would imagine, is not a Seahawks fan. I only know that because he said Sea Chickens went from 2nd and 1 to kicking a field goal. That's great.
Sounds like points.
Chase, the only other person I've heard call them Sea Chickens is like an
Francis.
old.
Francis.
Oh, Francis does it too.
Does it regularly.
I was gonna say an old Raiders fan, and you never want to be connected with them. So that's gonna do it for us today.
Oh, are these raisins? It's delicious.
I believe they are rum-soaked raisins.
Really good.
Wait, what?